So quick. He was like, "Oh, I'm out." Speaker Terlaje, good morning.
Good morning, and I love that interview with the mayor, and thank you. And good morning, welcome back, Chris,
Thank you.
and good morning, KYM, and good morning all to everyone in Guam. Good morning.
Well, let's just get right into it. I guess your reaction to Mayor Alec's comments relative to your gas relief bill. That I
appreciate.
I'm sorry, Speaker. Before we start, can you just tell us what's the status of the bill?
Sure. So this is Bill 261, and this is a bill to repeal the liquid fuels taxes on Guam for regular gas and for diesel. And so it would save at the pumps 23 cents. That's how much we are being charged for every gallon, 23 cents. So that would supposedly reduce the prices. The tax companies have come into the public hearing and said that they would reflect those savings to the consumers. So the bill was introduced in February. The hearing was had in April. I put it on as one of the potential items for the session. It hasn't been reported out of the committee. So that's what I'm asking. If anyone can call our appropriations chair and help him, can persuade him to get this out of committee, I would appreciate that, because again, this is supposed to be relief for all the consumers of fuel on Guam, including individuals, families, businesses. And I believe they need this relief right now. And if we are able to do it, and we are clearly able to do this because we have 68 million in this fiscal year alone in excess revenues. So any losses that repealing this tax might incur can be easily covered by the 68 million. And let me tell you what the losses would be. They're so small in comparison. For the rest of the year, they would only be 4 million. So this estimate that I saw, I don't know if it's the appropriations chair or OFB throw out at 20 million is completely wrong. It's inaccurate. And we're using BBMR's numbers and the Department of Revenue and Taxation's numbers to say for an entire year, the impact would be 8.5 million. So if we take off, half of the year for this fiscal year alone, 4 million. Can we cover? So the question is, can we cover that 4 million with the exit 68 million? Yes. Can we also put part of that 68 million towards roads? Of course we can and we should. And so I see no reason why this cannot be a win-win situation. In the meantime, we have bills coming in for use of this excess revenues during this fiscal year for all kinds of things, for nonprofits, for particular industries, for paying, I don't know, there was some talk in some other media regarding we need to save this money in order to pay salary increases. And I think that's something that needs to be vetted in the next fiscal year budget, that's not a given that we're going to do either or. I think we need to prioritize relief at the pumps. I think this is going to help everybody in their striving to get back to work, to keep working, going to school, taking care of your families. And that's where the impact is, because we're seeing prices rise everywhere. And again, this is the one thing that we can control on Guam when it comes to gas prices, and that is the gas tax. The military doesn't pay this gas tax. The government of Guam doesn't pay it. It's only us consumers who are paying it. And so I'm saying, give them that relief, $4 million for the rest of the year, and continue to build the roads. So that's what I would like this bill to get out of committee and to be heard on the session that we're in right now. That would translate into 23 cents a gallon savings immediately. When you look at we have a $68 million excess revenues for this fiscal year alone, and we're halfway through the year. So we've also had a $143 million excess for the past 3 years. 143 million. That money's been spent on who knows what, but that's what I'm saying. Why not prioritize this for savings for consumers of gas? And then this is not even talking about all the other federal money that we have sitting in the bank right now, also waiting to be spent, and it's obviously not going to any more direct relief than the ones that we've seen. And so I just think that this would be some additional relief to those consumers that they could use right now.
So where's the pushback coming from, Madam Speaker? Because in your pitch for this measure, people definitely need the relief. And so how do we close the gap in the differences that we're getting with the numbers?
Well, I too am trying to understand the pushback because yesterday a bill was introduced very similar by the appropriations chair, which would waive the tax for 3 months, 180 days. Yeah, till the end of the fiscal year. And so that's what I don't get. If they're able to do it, why not do it? And why not push my bill through so that we can do it in this session? And why did we need to introduce a whole new bill to do the exact same thing? And I think the question is they don't want to commit to it for the long run. And that to me is, I don't know. That's why I'm saying this is a question for the people of Guam. Do you want to reduce? We cannot reduce gas prices around the globe. We can reduce the taxes on the gas here on Guam. Do you want to do that? And do you want to do that permanently? Do you want us to use the excess hundreds of millions of dollars to repair your roads, to take care of the mayor's people that are taking care of the roads, to take, and for the other purposes that it's currently dedicated to? Or do you want to, do we want to continue taxing people to pay for those services that we can cover with our excess revenues? It's 180 days that this new bill introduced by Senator San Augustine, he wants to give relief for 180 days. So of course I support that, but my bill is saying, do it now, put it into this April agenda, a session agenda. We're in session right now, put it in now, give it out permanently, give it out for the rest of the calendar year and give it out for the rest, give it out, until we really need it. Then we can consider whether we really need to tax the people on that again. And until someone else can find another solution to reduce gas prices. That's the other thing, right? So we've been waiting for Congress. We've been waiting for, the governor. We've been waiting for lots of people to reduce tax prices. They say it's not possible, but this is possible. 23 cents per gallon. I think that's a huge savings, and I think that's really significant for those who have to, pay at the pumps.
Yeah, like my oldest son would say, I'm down. Sounds good. But do you anticipate a situation, Speaker, where your bill will be left to languish in committee and maybe the appropriations chair, the kind of like mirror measure, will advance out of it?
I don't know, but my bigger concern is that while we wait for my bill to move, we are going to spend this $68 million elsewhere. We're going to spend all the excess revenues on other things, pet projects, who knows? And that's what I'm saying. I think it should be a deliberate process by the legislature. I am proposing this be a priority. I guess there are proposals that other things be priority. And that's where I think we need to lay those on the table if that's really the issue. We've given, like I said, we've already given excess money. We put $10 million to war claims, and I'm very happy to have done that. We put, I think, there's current proposals. There was a bill to reduce to increase board compensation. There's a bill to, give it to some nonprofits. And so those might all be very valid, but I think we should find the $4 million for the rest of this fiscal year to cover this liquid fuels tax and decrease the consumers' prices. And we know that the gas prices will continue to rise, and that's why I am proposing a permanent measure. Right? We need this relief until we can find another solution to control gas prices on Guam.
Speaker, I wanted to get just a little comment here on the Hagatna revitalization. So the master plan is before you guys down to the legislature, and I'm looking to hear at our news story. Speaker Therese Terlaje focused on a flood mitigation plan for the city. Just one of many issues senators are discussing. This is a huge plan, right? This is what is it, $500 million?
Yeah, I think they spent $900,000. That's what they said. They spent $900,000. They've paid Matrix on this for the components of this plan. They had originally, in past years, sent different versions of it to the legislature, but not formally, just informally, kind of, this is our update, this is what we're doing. They were never ready to formally transmit that until January. They transmitted it to us. And the plan that they transmitted in January only has 3 components. It has a land use plan. In other words, it lays out all the property in Hagatna and it dictates what uses are permitted on those properties. And then it also included an atlas, which is pretty much, I looked through it, and it's an index of everything that currently exists in Hagatna. So we've got a beautiful atlas index of Hagatna. And the third part of it was, what was that third part? Sorry, I can't remember right now. It is, the guidelines, building guidelines. So these are guidelines that if we pass this means these are the guidelines that this Hagatna Restoration Authority can impose on any new buildings, right? So you have to fit within the new land use restrictions. You would have to fit within the new building guidelines, right? Restrictions. And those are the things. So it was very clear to us that there were other components that were not there, including the flood mitigation, like you said. That's not there. So in other words, this whole plan for Hagatna was built on current flooding conditions. Whereas I was led to believe over many years that they were going to do a flood mitigation study, meaning a study of how we could mitigate flooding to more areas in Hagatna so that we could develop those areas. And which ones were possible, which ones were not, which properties would be impacted or, saved from flooding and which ones would not. I find that to be very important because it's going to affect the uses of these properties and especially the private landowners. So that's one that was not included. The other one that wasn't included was the zoning plan. So they've also developed a zoning plan, which is, they have the authority under statute after. If this bill is passed, they would have the authority on their own to go and rezone all the properties in Hagatna. So this plan shows how the plan that they have not formally submitted to us is it's how would they rezone all these properties. And I just thought that instead of handing over all that discretion or, that those are really legislative. Zoning is a legislative function, land use, same thing. All of those things normally come through the legislature. But in this case, prior legislatures had given this Hagatna Restoration Authority huge powers to determine all of those things by itself. They're going to determine their own governance structure. That's another part of the plan that was not submitted to us. It's like a city council that makes all these decisions, whether, you get to build this type of building on your property, whether it fits within the guidelines, whether it meets the new zoning that they've imposed, whether, you're subject to flooding, so you can't build that type of thing. And so I just wanted to vet that out a little bit better. I wanted to make sure that the landowners of Hagatna who will be impacted, if they could give us a list of those who would be impacted, that they would know about this for sure. And it's going to, they've estimated it will take about $500 million, $550 million to do this, all the plans that they have. So they're not immediately going to complete this. This is something that's going to take years and it's going to take money. And this is another source of contention for some of the senators is that they're entitled right now to take all the taxes on improvements and properties in Hagatna and use that for their purposes, right? And so, I had asked, if you have plans, can we see them? What are you going to use this money for? Are you going out for bonds? And so there's rumors that they are going out for bonds. They're going to use that to pledge a bond for certain improvements. And I would like to know which exact improvements are we going to go out for bond for? And again, this is something that would be not subject at all to legislative discussion, oversight, review, any of those after this bill's passed. So I was raising those questions, and I am asking my colleagues to consider rejecting the plan for today and allowing us more time because we're under a time deadline. It's one of those default approval. If you don't ask for by the end of this session, it's default approved. So I'm asking, just reject it for today. It keeps it here at the legislature. We can review it. Additional, we can have further hearings. We can get our questions answered in writing, the ones that we have asked already. And then we can reconsider that, right? When we're all satisfied or they
so
have
do you
enough.
have the votes to get it tabled for now?
I don't know yet. We've been having quite an issue in this session
No
lately.
way. You serious?
Yeah, we've got some members absent. So on the Democrat side, we've
What?
got
I thought we had the best attendance at our legislature.
a lot of objections on the other side. So it's hard to move anything.
Right.
Our amendments failed. That's another thing. So I tried to make some amendments to what I thought would improve the bill. Those all failed. So we've got a bill right now that, if passed, would give all that discretion. They go forward however they decide.
Wow.
And I don't think that's been vetted enough. That's all. I'm not criticizing their work. I think their work is good. Of course, it cost us $900,000. I hope it's good. And what I've reviewed, of course, is beautiful. There are some beautiful plans for Hagatna. They are very costly. So I would like to know some of the details. And we've only had this since January. The hearing was only held in March.
Right.
And so, I just think, and we've only had one hearing, and then we went into that committee of the whole.
It's interesting to me, Madam Speaker, that we're this whole like revitalize Hagatna, because, you know, I do spend a lot of time in Hagatna, and it almost seems, and maybe this is what warrants it, I don't know, that there's an exodus out of Hagatna, that people are just, you know, moving up further north, whether it's businesses or whatever. Oh, well. Speaker, before I let you go, there's just a couple things I wanted to ask. First, on the war claims, I know that the response hasn't been what you guys maybe were hoping for.
Oh yeah. Well, one more thing is that flood mitigation plan.
Okay,
so that's
right.
part of that's the big piece that's not there, right? We're not sure which parts of Hagatna are going to be mitigated or not, or if that's even the goal. That's one thing that I can't understand. They tossed out the Army Corps, who has been working on this supposedly for the last 8 years, and they have been terminated, I guess, from this project altogether. And so the HRRA authority told us they are now going to look to hire Matrix, to contract again with Matrix to do a flood mitigation study. That was it was very surprising, I think, to all of us in there. And I am asking for what exactly is it that the Army Corps did not want to do that they wanted to do, or vice versa? What is it that Matrix is going to show you that the Army Corps could not show you? That type of thing, I really want to know. And I'm hoping it's not going to cost us,
$900,000.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know we had set aside some money for that already, but and you were asking, sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
What was?
I mean, if you did have anything on the war claims, because I know that the response hasn't been as good as you wanted.
Yeah. Okay. I think the war claims is going reasonably well. So what's going on is when they say they had 700, contacts with people, that really just means 700 people who might have picked up the packet. You're right. But we've only really had 52 applicants so far. And so of the 52 applicants, we have actually adjudicated 15. And the majority of them, over 90% of them, we have approved. And so, I work with Mayor Alec on that council or that committee, and the community is very efficient. The Department of Administration has been very, very efficient. And so we are adjudicating those claims, and we will adjudicate the next batch coming up. But the only issue that I have seen, I really haven't seen any issue except that some of the applicants don't have a lot of detail. And so I feel like, maybe we can help them more in the intake to just flesh out their stories a little bit more. We've seen this over the years. My office has gone out to different villages trying to assist in this process as well. They're very, it's a hard thing for them to talk about, very hard. It triggers a lot of memories that are very painful. And yet we need to flesh that out of them a little bit to fill the applications and to provide the proof of, that this actually happened, or any kind of, background, just to show a little bit more detail so that we can confirm that this did occur and this occurred And that's really it. Otherwise, I don't see any issues really with the war claims, except that there were some original projections that there were 700 people that this would apply to, and we haven't seen that many people apply yet. Yeah. So it's still open. I'm asking everyone to please help, their parents, grandparents to apply, to encourage them to come in. It's a welcoming process, and to just help them get through this paperwork, right? And that I think the committee, if we rejected any, we rejected it for, lack of detail. And so we are, but there's an appeals process where they just can go back and provide more detail. So I'm hoping that I'm glad you asked me, because I really wanted to get that word out, that please provide details. And if you get rejected, don't give up. Go back in there and provide more details. That would be my advice to everyone. And otherwise, I think the adjudication is going well. And we've actually awarded claims. So some people will be getting their money. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I asked you. I wanted to get the word out and, help you get the word out too.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had the mayor on earlier, because I'm so happy to hear that the senior centers are opening, and I was glad to hear his support also of the gas tax bill, because that was really one of the unfortunate items at the hearing, is that I think the mayors were made afraid that their budgets would be slashed if we gave this tax relief to consumers. And I don't think any mayor wants to, fund their budgets based on taxes on consumers, right? Especially gas taxes. And when we have more than enough from regular taxes to fund what the mayors needed and the road repairs. So I just wanted to assure the mayors that I think it's been made very clear that no one intends to slash any of the current budgets for road repairs. No one is going to slash budgets for the mayors, or certainly my bill does not.
Okay. Madam Speaker, I'm sorry, because we got this bunch of people waiting. I just wanted to ask just a couple questions. As of now, today, would you be eligible to vote in the closed Democratic primary election?
That's a great question. That's, that was a very surprised. I'm not sure what their criteria is going to be now to register, and that's my concern. It's like, I think I've been a registered Democrat all my life. I don't know if that still suffices. So of course I ran as a Democrat. I don't know if that suffices under their new declaration, but that was very surprising for me, and that is my concern. I do not want to restrict voters. We have worked so hard, I thought, to include voters, to bring in these 50,000 voters on Guam, to vote on the Democrat side of the ballot. And, but I don't want to put any additional restrictions on them as they, right now, right while this race is happening. And the race is happening. And I'm going to tell you a story. We had some bills that we've passed recently regarding the primary election. This was to save money. This was to make sure that the ballots get out earlier, and they would get to those who are serving in the military, for example, earlier.
Yeah.
And the consensus at the legislature was, no, you cannot change these rules, kind of make the elections earlier, that type of thing, because we did not want to impact the current election, right? So they put this effective date further down for the next, because at that time, and this was months ago, they had determined that it would impact people who had already decided to run, right? Yeah. Under the current conditions. And that's my concern as well. But I'm really concerned that we've made electronic registration of voters possible. We've done it, motor voter registration, right? We've all supported those measures to try to get more people involved in these elections. And I'm surprised. I'm going to look at the details of it, of course, but I don't want to be restricting. I don't want to be putting any impediments or any more hurdles that voters have to jump through. I really don't. Yeah. And this hasn't been done in any of our elected governors. No governor was elected that way, right? In a closed primary. We've always had, the current governor sits from based on an open primary, right? And so I'm just surprised. And so I'm gonna look at it.
you don't got to look at anything. You just keep it where you got it, because we have the Democratic Party chair, Tony Babauta, coming up next. We've got Maria Pangilinan from the Guam Election Commission. So my goal by the end of the show is to get the answers to the questions I think a lot of people are asking, like, can we vote in this closed primary? What does it mean? How do we vote? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Chris. Take care.
You too. Enjoy. There you go. Madam Speaker there. Surprised, she said. Surprised by this move from the Democratic Party to close their primary. We do have the chair, Tony Babauta. We're actually sure